All right, John. So I think it felt like it had been a year, but I looked and I think it was May that we last did this.
Yeah, I think that's right. I looked back too. It sounds about right.
But in the world of fitness racing, which I think it officially has a name now, I've been using it. They were
Yep.
using it in the UK and I didn't like it. And I was going with hybrid racing or hybrid fitness, but I like it is a fitness race. So let's just start there. What do you think about this thing that we're doing?
Fitness racing, I think it's great. I've been talking about it a lot lately. I think it's filling a void for people. I have a video coming out on it today, actually, or just a reel. But I think it's filling a void for people. That sense of fulfillment in a number of areas. I think it's allowing this sense of competition, obviously, but it's bigger than just like going out and competing. Like you're doing the thing, right? Like when you get out on the race course, particularly HYROX, everyone just looks fit, like really fit. And old guys like me are like, hey, I'm one of these people. I'm one of them. I get to do it with them. I'm as fit as them. And when times start popping up, usually the times are pretty close. And when you're within a reasonable time and somebody looks stupid fit, you're like, all right, I got this. This is great. And so it's filling that like kind of I belong feeling that people look for. It's also filling that ego piece that we kind of all have of beating other people at something, like working towards something. And then I think that, kind of the last, I think it gives you this validation that whatever you are training for, you can go test. Like previously we had the open in CrossFit for that. And now you've got something where you can actually, it's measurable. And you can look to see previous times, and you're not just measuring the bottom line. You can measure the row, the ski, the run splits, like all those little pieces, parts, and figure out where you want to improve. And I think people are geeking out over that, and it's just taking off like gangbusters,
So what took us so long? Why did CrossFit miss this? Why did, I don't know, any event company that put on, even if it was outdoor races, go, well, wait a minute, there's got to be a way to do this thing we do in the gym, or a lot of the things we do in the gym, but let's get together and do this, and maybe we can do it in multiple countries if we do it right. How did we all miss this one that was standing right in front of our face?
Well, I don't think CrossFit missed it. I think they didn't want it. They had the open, which was a monster revenue generator for them. And then they had the games that, it's my understanding isn't, crazy profitable for them, other than it, kind of drives people to the footprint. And Greg didn't want to be in that space. Like famously, he wasn't trying to create other businesses from his business. I just ran some numbers on this the other day, because again, I'm like kind of working on a reel. But if you look at all the businesses that have sprung up from CrossFit over the last decade, it's over $1 billion in revenue. $1 billion.
You could have said 3 billion and I wouldn't have argued. I mean, who knows with these numbers when they get that big?
Well, it might be, but he didn't want a piece of any of that. So of course he doesn't want to start doing fitness racing too, like something that's not his passion.
All of these gym comps, even like they could have figured out a way to be like, hey, let's do 5 in the Northeast. But it was just like, hey, my gym's doing a thing, come do it if you want. And then the larger ones, the throwdown, the what's the one they were doing in, there was one big one. Like, anyway, the point is, It seemed right there for anyone to grab.
Yeah, I give you my perspective from when I first went to it and why I think maybe they missed it. Because when I first saw it, I was like, it's all right. Right. Like the very first time I went to Chicago, I didn't quite get it because it wasn't packed full of people. Like people weren't gravitating toward it yet. I think CrossFitters like myself, initially, we were kind of locked into what does a CrossFit competition look like and wanting to emulate those athletes. No one in CrossFit had respect for Hunter McIntyre. They still don't, by the way, but they really didn't then. Right. And so looking at it going, all right, well, if Hunter McIntyre is the pinnacle of fitness, which he was at the time, why would we want to do this? Because he came to the games and got his ass kicked. And I know that'll piss him off that I said that, but
that's arguable.
It's not arguable. I was there. He got his ass kicked. He ran great, but he couldn't do what CrossFitters do, which is like you have to be.
He was above 5 handstand walks away from making it to the next round. Now he may have got his ass kicked in the next round. Okay, if there was some heavy lifting, but come on, let's tell the truth here, John.
I'm telling the truth. He got knocked out in the second round, and that's a long, it's a
who
long
else? You want to
event.
name who else got knocked out in the second round?
Oh yeah, a couple of games athletes did. Absolutely. There's no denying that he beat some people. I'm not trying to pick on Hunter McIntyre. I'm telling you that when you look at it and go, at the time, like Matt Frazier was the pinnacle of our sport.
Correct.
And you're comparing Hunter to Matt. Everybody's like, no, absolutely not. And that's why they weren't gravitating toward it.
But I think you of all people could appreciate, like, how good of a job do you have to do to be one guy saying, I think I can do what you guys do and make a difference, and that you guys are, I say you guys, that you're straddling the line now, but that CrossFitters still talk about fuck Hunter McIntyre. He did something.
I'm not picking on the guy. I think he's crazy fit, and what he does in fitness racing is spectacular. The dude is a phenomenal athlete and works his ass off. So that, no shade to him. I'm just trying to explain why CrossFitters look at him and go and looked at this and said, all right, well, why would we go do that if our best athletes are better than that, without recognizing it's just a totally different sport, a totally different thing. And that there is also eliteness in that totally different thing. And I think now that's what people are picking up on. It's like, all right, well, most of us, those of us that are above 6 feet tall, are never going to be good at CrossFit, or I know there are a few that are, but your predisposition to be better at CrossFit if you're a little shorter and stockier and lend to some of the movements. Fitness racing, if you're a little taller and you can run, you can compete. If you can run, you can compete. It's
when I'm near the starting corral of a pro elite man, I'm like, holy fuck, they're all 6 feet. They're all like jacked, right? Yeah. I mean, some more than others. But as a guy who came from the obstacle racing side, which was just kind of a mishmash of guys of all shapes and sizes, I'm like, oh, there's a type for this race, and there's definitely advantages. It's definitely not the Frasers of the world.
Yeah, it's just a different sport, different body type, and now that I've seen it and been there and watched the elite athletes and seen how impressive they are, now I'm like, all right, can I do that? Can I get out there?
I just want to back up really quickly. So Hunter did, in fact, like, was the face of this sport. And you could say that, like, he's kind of the Michael Jordan for us. Like, he really put it on the map for them, and for whether you like him or dislike him now, he was kind of that guy. So had we had a larger, like, if there was a female athlete who was as well known and that maybe came from the CrossFit side, we had a chance to speak. By the way, Lauren Weeks was a CrossFit athlete. Lauren Weeks was, right, first and foremost. And she was there, but wasn't as loud, didn't have sponsors, et cetera, et cetera. But I actually never thought of it that way, that those two were so close together. It's this other thing that we don't think is CrossFit, so it's not as cool. And the guy that we kind of hate, who was shitting on us, is the head of it. I kind of never put those two together.
Well, I complain all the time about this Lauren Weeks thing. I love Lauren. She's the GOAT, man. She's the best and the sweetest, nicest person ever, right? And she's a CrossFitter. I bitch all the time. CrossFit has not leveraged that even a little. Like, they should be going all in of like, hey, here's someone who does our methodology religiously and is winning at the highest level of the sport consistently. And they don't even bother to do it because they're so stuck up that CrossFit is the only thing you should be competing in. They don't even attempt it. It's just mind-numbing to me. Absolutely mind-numbing.
I mean, they like it when Tia goes out there, but that's about it.
Yeah, well, yeah, if you win 10 championships or 9 or whatever she's won, of course they're going to a Tia, but it's outrageous to me that you have so many CrossFitters that are doing well at HYROX and no one seems to say, hey, maybe we should be highlighting these guys, that they're doing what we said to do. Go play sports, right? Learn and play new sports. That was Greg's mantra. They're doing that. HYROX is a sport and no one seems to care. So screw them.
Well, whenever I complain about, let's just call it the Savannah sphere of negative, stuff that they do kind of on the daily, because I get upset, right? I get fired up. People say, well, that's only a small percent. That's not how most people feel. John, how do most people feel?
In regards to what?
Well, those guys who make their bread on, let's talk about how horrible or stupid or bad or like even the stuff they do, and I don't want to spend a ton of time talking about them, but like even the stuff about WFP that they're right about a lot, like if you weren't coming from this just shitty, cunty place
Right.
is more tolerable to me. But again, if I get upset, like, why are you guys shitting on us all the time? Why are you guys shitting us all the time? People have said to me, Matt, why are you getting so mad? Just because these are the big channels, it doesn't mean everybody feels that way. That's what I'm
Sure.
asking you. So what do you have your finger on the pulse, John? What do you think as a guy who posts a lot, who probably gets a lot of DMs, how do you think the average CrossFitter feels like it?
It's funny you say that. I asked someone yesterday, I'm like, I wondered out loud, I'm like, I wonder how many people hate follow me, you know? Because I was, Hiller and I had an argument over the weekend. It wasn't an argument. We were just going back and forth and having some good fun. And I said to someone else, I wonder how many people hate follow him. I bet it's a lot. But for me, I think it's probably 10%, maybe 20. And I think the same thing for them. They have a significant following, that people that adore them, love them, and they've earned that crowd, and they work hard to please that crowd. I suspect, it's probably, the active people that watch religiously, that are in the chat, that are fired up, are about 10% of the community. And then you got probably another 10 to 15% that will pop in and listen because they're interested in the games. And then the remaining 75% don't give a rat's ass about any sport. They don't care about me. They don't care about him. They don't care about Hiller. They don't even care about the games. They just want to be fit. And they go to their affiliate and they show up and they work out and they're happy. And that's it. And my only proof point is that's about the percentage number of people that do the open, give or take.
Let's talk about that then, because again, like you and I both, whether we like them or not, know to give credit where due, right? And Hiller's name rings out. There's not a single person that doesn't know what that name is
Right.
in CrossFit or in HYROX. I don't want to get called out by Hiller, right? So like he's done something. And again, when he does something, and I feel like here's a guy who's done his research, is well thought, put these thoughts together, and then the very next video is like, punching down and just doing the stuff they do, and then I lose all respect again.
Yeah, a couple of comments there. I never view him as punching down. I think Hiller he does create rage bait to create engagement so he can do other things. That's his mindset. He said that publicly. Like, this isn't me speaking.
I don't know that I buy it though, by the way.
Well, I don't think anybody has to. I just think that's, at least how he's publicly stated it. I think he's made an impact in doing that in the CrossFit community. What's been interesting to me, though, he's made zero impact within HYROX. Like the people that do HYROX are unbothered by his complaints on the wall balls. And I love that. That's the thing I actually love about HYROX, is that the community seems to be like, hey, fuck it. We love this thing. We're going to go out and do it. If HYROX wants to give harder judging, so be it. If they don't, so be it. And for the record, maybe he has had an impact, because my last two events, I've gotten more no reps than I had before, or maybe I'm getting worse. It could be one or the other. But I do think they're trying to do, a better job of judging. I'm not sure that's his impact, though, because they're improving in so many other areas. I think that's their impact of trying to run an elite business, and they're doing it in the right order. Does all that make sense?
Yeah, but I'll say this, and I said I'm not going to talk about them like that, but here we are. And because I'm a guy that does this as well for a living, it cuts really close for me. And this concept, John, here I am, and I'm only doing this because I really care. So I could just go crazy, right? I could get way more clicks, way more likes. My following would jump if I did what he does, right? Super easy to find some videos. For me, easy.
Sure.
Just tell any athlete, hey, send me 10 wall ball videos this weekend. But I'm only doing that because I care about the sport and because I want to make things better. Come on, dude. Come on.
Well, a lot of that depends on how you're wired, though. So I know Hiller, and I consider him a friend. And
would he consider you a friend?
Yeah, he would.
Okay.
I say that confidently. Okay. We don't call each other in chat, but we'll text occasionally, and I'll shoot him messages and ask questions, or even sometimes I'll shoot him videos. I think he views things very black and white, and without compassion and without empathy. Whether you want to view that as good or bad, I guess it's up to the listener to decide. But when you have those traits, when you can look at something with no empathy. So imagine an older person, older than me, God forbid, doing shitty wall balls at HYROX. He can look at that with zero empathy and go, the standard is the standard, and has no problem punching that out to the world. I don't know you that well, Matt, but I don't have it in me to do that. I look at the older person and go, damn, they're 70. That looks pretty damn good for 70, even though it's not the standard. And I can't do it.
What do we call a person with no sympathy or empathy?
Autistic, probably. I don't know. I mean,
sociopath?
No, I don't. He's not a sociopath. He's a good dude. I think he's a good dude. I think he's a good friend.
Listen, I wanted to think he was a good dude. So I just want to say, so let's just get this out there. Okay. Early days, Hiller, early days. I liked what he was doing. I was like, hey, come on the show. And he was like, I'm not coming on anybody's show. I want to get 50,000 followers first or whatever it was. Right. Then I actually shared a video that was shared with me that I thought was humorous, which is somebody who's just sort of throwing it at the target, right? There was no squat whatsoever, right? This was a video that then he shared and it went nuts. It was one of the early ones. And it honestly, John, and this is not to say I'm a great person. I'm just telling you and the audience personally, this was a fork in the road for me. Do I want to be the guy that picks on the 60-year-old lady? Or do I want to be the guy that cares about the elites doing for him and everyone else can have at it? And I realized I don't want this. And people are saying to me, maybe take it down, which again, I don't really do. I said to him, hey, that's my video. Please take it down. It's my video. He shared the entire thing. He didn't recreate it. He went, ha, 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 then blocked me. So I thought, this is a child. That's what a child does. We didn't even have a conversation about it. And then, by the way, that's the one that then Megita jumped in and Meg jumped in. And then they that started their whole back and forth. But I did realize, I'm a guy that I think does a pretty good job of here's information, here's education, here's some fun without being the let's pick on the elderly.
Yeah, I get that. And look, everyone's got a different experience with other people. So I certainly don't need other people to love Hiller because he and I are friends. I think how I personally manage that in all of these relationships, or whatever you want to call them, is there's a whole group, like all that first group you named. I don't follow or watch any of that content, literally none. Hiller is the only one of that group I follow in any capacity. And my viewpoint now is I'm going to create content that I like and enjoy and I feel good about and I feel proud to put out. Sometimes it's going to be edgy, like that little battle over the weekend around what women should or shouldn't be wearing. I put out 3 videos on that. I got more coming. And sometimes it's just going to be, hey, here's some tips of things you can do in the open, but I want to do things I'm happy and proud about. And to your point, I don't want to do videos that are slamming on people and making them feel bad about their movement. If that's his space, hey, go fill it. And it's working well for him. It's just not what I want to do.
So I brought up that 2020 Chicago race. I found it in memories. It was like this. It was like middle of January, shortly before pandemic. And I showed an empty arena and I couldn't believe it. The Hunter video, at least there was people watching because it was Hunter and it was the end of the day or whatever it was. It was fucking crickets and it was crazy. And this is the part that I think, as huge and as much love as HYROX get, they don't get enough credit, because just because they kept doing it doesn't mean you go from a silent arena to a packed arena. So when you did it back then, you think that was the missing piece? It wasn't exciting because there was only 500 people there that day, and so it just felt like a random competition to you?
It was exciting. I just wasn't convinced they were going to make it at the time because, again, there wasn't a lot of people there. I enjoyed the race. I was a little hungover when I did it, so my perception of how that race went for me wasn't very good. I do think then I had a hard time seeing what their vision was. I have a much clearer vision of it now that I've done 5 races, I guess, with the 6th one coming up. And I have a much better understanding of how people view it. And what's been really intriguing to me is that, everyone within the CrossFit space says, oh, well, these are just CrossFitters out doing it. I don't see a lot of CrossFitters there anymore. I mean, they are there. Don't get me wrong. I see a ton of F45ers. I see a ton of Orange Theory people, a ton of runners. I see a ton of huge lifters.
Yes.
Which is crazy, like jacked. Like I was in the corral with a dude that looked like he was roided to the gills. I'm like, holy crap, look at this dude, But it's just like this huge, like crazy mix of people just having fun together. And I think that's the thing that I didn't see then that I see now is it's just fun. People want fun, particularly in today's environment where you've got we're out kidnapping dictators and the world's on fire. And this is something you can do that it has nothing to do with anything other than just, can you be the best version of yourself?
Well, you just got us demonetized, John. Congratulations. The great, the great YouTube gods in the sky are listening, and they heard you say that. So when I saw you where did I see you?
Chicago.
Was it Chicago again?
Yeah.
I didn't know you were kind of all in, because I don't watch a ton of CrossFit content either these days.
Yeah.
And you were excited. You were getting a flag. You were talking about some of the things you're talking about. Again, the aversion to doing 8 movements that are like things you can and do train for in a HYROX in a CrossFit gym, plus the running, which I still think the half is coming. Come do it, but to run 1 lap instead of 3 or whatever it is. Right. I think that's coming. I still think that there's so much there is this large amount of, it's some sort of lesser form of exercising, which doesn't make any sense to me. But because I too see CrossFitters, and you can usually tell, right? They're wearing a shirt. I've seen some very large men and women, and a lot of times they're walking the laps, but they're going to get it done. I saw a woman boot and fucking rally into a garbage can, right? And was like, kept going. So
this will piss off any CrossFitter that hears this, but I'm fitter and healthier now from doing HYROX for the last 1.5 years than I was in the 9 years previous.
How dare you? Tell me why. So speak to that. Tell me why.
Because it feels a little bit like scaling. I'm running more, so my cardiovascular endurance is significantly better. Like, I get the abs are back, right, in full force, and so I have an engine for days, which actually really helps me in CrossFit. But I'm no longer doing complex gymnastics movements, so all of a sudden my shoulders feel good again, right? No handstand push-ups, no bar muscle ups, no ring muscle ups, none of that, no wall walks. Like, I can still do them, but my shoulders feel great, and have lost 0 strength, because I'm doing super heavy sled pushes and sled pulls, and I'm doing a lot of burpees, and I'm doing a lot of heavy lunges, and my body just feels great because of it. And it forces you, because of the volume of the training, because they're not 15-minute workouts like CrossFit. Like, my workouts are 40 to 60 minutes every single time. It forces you into rest days. You can't do this 7 days a week. You cannot, or you'll die. Right. So
you could be Dylan Scott and be on ergs like 8 hours a day every day. But
I mean, all those elite guys are like the Frasers of the world. They're just like genetically, they're gifted, and a 55-year-old like me isn't, and I do think for me, the other thing that really helps you in the training is it is very analytical, and there are specific areas you can get better in to improve your race, and you can focus on those. And again, I think that helps me stay healthy and feel good. And I've loved it from that perspective.
So here's a macro question for you, right? A couple years ago, the great deal affiliation happened, right? Mm-hmm. Over time, more people deal affiliate, some because they can't afford it anymore. Sometimes gyms close, but sometimes I think what we're doing here is functional fitness, and I don't know that I need to pay the money, and maybe I'm upset at HYROX. Maybe I'm upset at CrossFit. Maybe I'm not. But overall, I don't need to be an affiliate to do what I do. So HYROX is in early everyone adapting their thing phrase. But at some point, someone's going to go, do I need to give these guys $1,000 a year? I can put on these classes and not use the word HYROX.
Sure.
Right. And so is it possible that in a few years, it's just a lot more gyms teach functional fitness and call it whatever they call it, functional? What's the other words they always use? Total fit, whatever they call it. And it doesn't mean
whatever. Yeah.
And it's like, some people come here and train for HYROX. Some people just really like getting fit without handstand walks, without.
Yeah, I think that's possible. I mean, I've seen a bunch of CrossFit gyms here locally take on HYROX classes and start to teach them. And I think, I don't know do they charge $1,000 a month? Is that what the affiliation is?
If you pay $100 something a year, you get to say you're a HYROX thing, and you can then put on all the sims. But again, you kind of can anyway, without, like, they can't enforce it really. Yeah. And you could just call it something else. Just use the word ROX or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, I think if I owned an affiliate these days, it would be worth it to pay that money, and for someone to give me the programming, one less thing for me to do. I mean, it's not very much money. It's kind of a
But
no-brainer.
in 3 years, do you still need to be? Why am I paying these guys? I know how to do this stuff without them.
Well, hell, I'm not convinced CrossFit's going to be around 3 years from now. So I would say no. I mean, who knows? I think you're going to have a lot of.
Did you say CrossFit might not be here in 3 years?
Who knows? I mean, they're for sale, so who knows? Like, there's a lot of crazy shit that happens in a sale. It's possible.
Somebody reported they were going to be done by the new year.
That
was me.
Yeah, they're not going to be.
I actually didn't report it. I reported that somebody said that. So just for the record, right? I said this is what this guy said, and I know you know some things that you can't speak about, but I guess we should kind of talk about that. Did you think it would be done by now? Did you think the sale, or hey, we're just officially not on the books anymore for sale, we're just going to go back to being Berkshire, happened by now?
Prior to you reporting on that last dude, what was his name?
Wade. Come on.
Wade. Deebs. That was the part I couldn't remember.
Wade Deebner.
Yeah. Prior to you reporting on him, yes, I thought it was going to be done by December. And then when he came into the mix, I'm like, all right, this is a big mess. Like, just a big mess. Like, his whole thing, like anyone with his kind of weight and finance, letting that thing leak and coming out and messaging people was just, all those were red flags that this whole thing's a mess. And I'm not blaming him. I'm not blaming anyone other than Berkshire. It means Berkshire isn't buttoned up enough, And so who knows? Like, who the hell knows? I can't even decide if they want to sell it at this point. It doesn't seem like it'd be that hard to sell to me, but at the same time, you got to get somebody to come up with $100+ million to get it done. And since there's no collateral in the business, they need cash or investors that can put up cash. And that's a hard deal.
When you say collateral, what, I mean,
they don't own anything other than the name. They don't own property. Like, think of it like McDonald's owns all the land for all their businesses, or for a significant portion of their businesses. That's collateral.
Yeah. I learned that when I read, what was that great book?
Oh, The Founder, or whatever it was called.
No, not The Founder. The one that got people eating vegan for a minute. They made a movie. The movie was okay, but basically that they're a massive real estate company, right? Like that's a big part of it.
Yeah, and CrossFit isn't. They don't own shit. They license out the name.
But the asset is the affiliates and whatever, and the games. Like, that's an asset.
No, the affiliates are not an asset. They're not even under contract.
Okay.
They do like a 1-year contract, and they can just leave whenever the hell they want. So that, like,
but there's a percentage they can guarantee is going to turn over.
Yeah, but they're all under a 12-month contract. So think of it like this. So if I sold the company and all those affiliates go, but I don't like this new owner, 12 months from now, they're gone. And I put up $100 million for a bunch of people that aren't going to stay with me. You know what I mean?
We should tell people that in real life, you are in finance, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So
let me clarify that real quick.
By definition, what's an asset? Because again, I think that I'm not saying it's a valuable asset, as valuable as if they were under a 5-year contract, but it as an asset. It's
The name is
on the right side of the column. It's not a deficit. It's not an expense.
The trademark, the name, the games, like, those are valuable assets. The question mark is, can you find a bank that says how much that is worth? Like, you have to be able to define the worth, and part of the worth you use to define your business is like, how much revenue are you generating? So they've got that. They can say, here's how much we're generating in affiliate revenue. Here's how much training and education does. Here's how much we get in merch. Here's how much we get in fee income from, sponsorships and vendors and partnerships. And then here's what we own. Right. And it's that part that what we own, that's a problem, because they don't own anything other than the name. And then you got to debate, what's the name worth? I'm not saying it's invaluable. I think the name CrossFit's insanely valuable. Trying to explain to a banker how much that is worth is a completely different discussion, especially considering they paid, a couple $100 million to buy it before. So is it worth a couple $100 million now? That's the bigger question.
In 2020, when Greg got out, what was the figure?
I heard 234.
Okay. That's very specific.
Yeah, well, that was the specific number I was given. Now, whether that's accurate or not, I don't know. That's back channels, people telling me what they've heard. Like, it could be 10 times over by the time it got to me. I don't have any firsthand knowledge, and God bless them. If someone offered me that money, dude, I'll move anywhere you tell me to for that much money. Swear to God, I'll close down my channels and move to Russia.
But that's the problem of now is, do I want to sell this thing for a loss? If someone says 150, take it or leave it, or 100, take it or leave it, right? Well, ego has you not accept the low ball.
Well, that's the thing you have to look at. So in 2020, when we sold, let's just play it out. Let's say sold it for 200 million plus. And at the time they had 12,000 affiliates, or 12 to 15,000, depending on who you asked. Well, now they have 8 to 9,000. And so that's what, a 20 to 30% runoff in affiliates, which isn't crazy, but it's still high attrition. And you could argue, based on some of the, the sad events that have happened since then, the death at the games, a lot of bad press that's come out between now and then, that the value of that name brand, to your point, that is valuable, has reduced. Is it still worth 200 million? And so now Berkshire is out here trying to figure out how much can we sell it for. That's it.
I am surprised at the number of, let's call them own goals of big companies. I watch it on a regular basis with Spartan, right? Mm-hmm. Like Spartan has a lot going for it, and then they just do stuff that you're like, what are you doing? So CrossFit, I just for the heck of it, just pulled up their YouTube. Now this is CrossFit, not CrossFit Games, but the number of views, right, for a channel with 1.7 million followers, and even if a lot of those followers died off a long time ago, like how content is the thing now, right? Like how have you not still figured out, let's pay a decent amount to get some decent people working on this stuff, and this shows up in algorithms, and oh shit, what is this thing? Or oh, I heard about this once, I thought it was dangerous, but it looks pretty cool now. Or like, how are they missing like this basic piece called media?
Ego. That's my opinion. I can't prove that, but I think it's all ego. I think a lot of them are still looking at the business like it's 2010 and they were exploding. And, the business went from, 1,500 affiliates in that 2009, 2010 era to 15,000 affiliates by 12,000 to 15,000 by 2020. And when you look at it over their time frame, there are a few things that changed over that decade. The biggest one that changed over the decade is that the price of warehousing space increased by 180%. So what used to be a business that was really easy to get into as an affiliate owner, very cheap to get into, is no longer so cheap to get into. Now you have high expenses, and so you're going to have fewer people opening affiliates than you would before. The other thing that happened is the boutique fitness space exploded thanks to CrossFit. What you didn't have in 2010 was Orange Theory, F45, Barry's Boot Camp. And now you've even got the big box gyms like Lifetime doing their own little hit circuits, And so now there's like tremendous pressure on them.
I believe they call it.
Yeah, there's just tremendous pressure on the market to have these businesses. And so CrossFit, while they were cutting edge at the time, they're one of many at this point. And so they're thinking, all right, well, people should still just be watching whatever we put out, which is what happened in those days. Whatever they put out, we just give it to us. Right. And then now, people aren't as excited about it because there's so much more content and so many other gyms out there that it's just not as exciting as it used to be.
Do you know how big they are as a company? My understanding is CrossFit doesn't even have a home office anymore.
Yeah, that's true. At least I believe that to be true.
How many full-time employees does CrossFit have?
Dude, I've heard such wildly varying numbers. I can't give you a complete accounting. I've heard it's as low as 50 and high as 500. Now, the 500 number blows my mind. That would be worldwide. And so I guess it depends on how they define employees. If they're defining people that, they contract as an employee.
Right, shoot content for them in Brazil. There's no chance it's 500. I can tell you that. There's not a chance.
No, I think it's on the lower end, but I honestly don't know. I don't know how many they have at this point. I know they did layoffs, a couple of years back or 18 months or so. And I think they said at the time it was either 10 or 20% of their total workforce, and they only laid off like 20 people. So again, this is by my memory, and I'm old, so I'd have to go back and look it up.
Will the current leadership survive any kind of buyout?
Dude, I would be shocked. No, well, a buyout, no. I shouldn't be so definitive. It depends.
A sale.
Yeah, I guess it depends on who buys them or who they sell to. I think they would be insane to keep current leadership. That's what happened in 2020. That was Eric Rosa's fundamental mistake, is that when he bought that company, he should have literally fired everyone. You do not keep entrenched management in a takeover. You don't. It's rule number one in business. And he kept everybody.
Because they're going to kick you out.
Yeah, and they did. They absolutely did.
Can you talk about what happened? Because that is one of my, when I talk about punching down, like referring to a guy's mental health in like some, listen, I joke about everything. I'm not PC, but again, like, oh, you couldn't hack it, and so that's why you quit because of mental health reasons. Like that to me is just a bridge too far. But what actually happened? Do you know what actually happened?
I don't think anyone really knows. I know that Eric's parents had passed, or at least one of them, and he had gone through a divorce. And as someone who's been through a divorce, man, it's a terrible time. And I have both of my parents, and I know if I lost either one, I'd be wrecked. So I got a lot of sympathy there and empathy for that.
Because you're not a sociopath.
Well, maybe, but he took some time off, and the business was not doing well initially. I think he came in with a lot of big ideas and got a lot of resistance. He fired Dave famously, and that got a lot of bad will because Dave is really well liked amongst affiliate owners and and a lot of CrossFitters, and people couldn't see the vision of what he wanted to do. And he took us, and the story was he was going back to head the board, and they were going to name a new CEO, and then no one's heard from him since. So if I had to guess, and this is a total guess, is that Berkshire pushed him out and gave him a board seat to maintain, the money that he had invested and to, keep his pride in check. And then they went and hired Don, who has run it since. And it hasn't improved greatly since then, in my opinion, but you could bait that separately, I guess.
Well, you talk about, the tragedy that happened a couple of years ago. If someone's buying the company, how much is that hanging over their head? Like, do they know some massive lawsuit is coming or is actually happening? And like, again, in the positive or negative column, like that's some money we got to spend. That's a check you got to cut.
Yeah. When you think of a sale, I mean, that's certainly got to be part of what's factored in of why it's not selling. I mean, you've got, not only do you not have collateral, and you've got a decreasing number of affiliates, which are both kind of red flags for sale, even though the revenue would be up because they raised affiliate fees. But you also have what you would imagine is a pretty big, large lawsuit based off of the death of the games that someone's going to have to pay. And Berkshire's not going to want to pay it. They want to sell this company and let CrossFit deal with it. So I'm sure that's playing into it. I don't know anything about law. That's not, anything I've ever studied. I have a pretty good sense that is part of it though. And it's got to be a huge number. It's got to be.
Well, a minute ago, you were going to say something about when I said you're in finance, you were going to clarify.
Well,
something.
Yeah, I was just, people give me shit. I say I'm in finance, and people outside of banking don't. I'm in retail banking, which people often look at it and like, oh, okay, you open checking accounts. I'm a retail regional manager. I have 18 branches for a major firm. I have 100 employees, manage a ridiculous amount of money and headcount. And I've been in the business for 25 years. So I spend a lot of time partnering with commercial bankers that would do a deal like this, for instance, a lot of time working with small business bankers like affiliate owners. And I've been in affiliates for 15 years, and I owned one for 2 years. So I have a really good sense of the business model, how they generate revenue, how businesses like this generate revenue, how, HR works within those organizations, but I'm not a commercial banker. Like, I'm not someone who would do this deal, but I work with a lot of people that do, M&A and that sort of thing. So
when did you own an affiliate? What years?
Well, I just got out. Gosh, I guess it's been a year now. So a couple of years. That would have been what, this is 2026. So 23 to 25-ish.
Oh, I figured it was in the past. So you just bought one.
Yeah, just a few years back, and partnered. And, I still belong to that affiliate. I'm still part of it. I train there 4 to 5 days a week. I was just there yesterday.
How many people there are training for HYROX?
Well, I have a small group that train with me. One of the guy has actually gone with me to do a couple of them. So there's probably 3 of us that have actually done them. I've got a couple other people that train with us on a regular basis that keep saying they're going to, but I can't seem to get them off the edge to do it. We don't have classes for it. We're not a HYROX affiliate. They have no desire to be a HYROX affiliate, and that's fine. I come in and do what I want to do, and that works for me.
What part of the country are you in?
Cleveland. So Chagrin Falls CrossFit is the gym, which is the far east side of Cleveland.
Okay. So the closest one is the Chicago one.
Yeah, that or DC. Chicago's a little closer than DC, but DC's about the same distance by car.
So do you think that is part of it? Because we all travel to them, those of us that are, crazy about it, but
Oh
is the
yeah.
does anybody want to do that? Is that part of the problem? Is that if it's on in Cleveland, I'd do it.
They all say the same thing to me. If they put one in Columbus, we do it in a heartbeat. And I wish they would. If they would do one in Columbus, I swear to God, I'd do a partner, I'd do a solo, and I'd do a team all in one weekend. Swear to God, because it'd be close enough that I could, wreck myself and then just hobble home.
Right. Well, I think I don't know how many more cities they're going to be in. The last frontier for them would be NorCal, and they still haven't done that. And so, if there isn't one there in 26, I don't know that they're ever going to do one outside of the 10 cities they do them in now.
Yeah, I like traveling for it. I'm going to Vegas in February. I'm partnering with a world champion. She's going to absolutely wreck me, and she's already sending me what she thinks our projected time is going to be, and I'm arguing with her every time she sends it to me. But I'm addicted to getting flags now. I got this flag on the wall behind me over here.
Let's go.
And I want another one, and I think I can get one with her. So we're going to go compete and see what happens.
But see, again, to me, that's the piece that I feel like was right there. Like, people love to compete. They love to get age group awards. It keeps them coming back.
Dude, let me tell you this story. This is absolutely true, and it's still funny to me. So we knew we would do well, me and my partner. So this party, Marty Shagger, and I've trained with this guy for 15 years now. And I've gotten him into HYROX, and he's a good runner. He's always been a good runner, but he doesn't run religiously. But I've made him train with me. I'm like, hey, we're going to go do Chicago as a partner. And we kind of signed up at the last minute. We had to do a charity. We couldn't get like a normal ticket. And so we get there and we run our race and we finish. And a couple hours later, we're at the bar. We're 3 drinks in and drinking pretty good, I might add. And I look at the leaderboard and I'm like, dude, we're in 3rd. And he's like, seriously? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, but there's another couple more heats coming, so we'll keep our eye on it. And then we dropped to 4th. And I'm like, all right, we're good. We dropped to 4th. Well, then the team in 4th or in 3rd got disqualified. Still don't know why, but they got DQ'd for some run violations. And so at this point, we're buzzed at the bar. I'm like, hey, we got to go back. There's a podium ceremony that we got to go to at 10 p.m. So we went back to the hotel, changed, sobered up as much as we could, waddled back over to the place and got our flag. It was crazy. It was so much fun.
Congratulations.
Yeah, shocking. But, I mean, our age group, we're in the old men's division.
Listen, I'm 53 years old. And my only flags are from relays, which are probably the easiest to get. So I would love to flag in my age group. And it is easier than when you're 35, but there's still a lot of fit dudes out there. And most of them are on TRT. So there we go. Let's be honest.
That's my goal, though, now is can I get an individual flag?
Yes, I think that's I don't think I might ever get an individual flag until I'm in my 70s, but I think I have a shot in mixed doubles to get one.
Well, that's the crazy thing about HYROX, though, as you know this, is like the difference, like I'm 55. So the difference in my age group between where I am currently and those people that are in the top 3 is about 8 to 10 minutes, which for a CrossFit, you're like, 8 to 10 minutes difference. That's a monstrous gap. Not in this. That's like 15 seconds a split. It's like not much. And so I'm really kind of meticulously trying to figure out where can I improve so I can get a real shot at getting an individual podium.
Well, the other thing that I kind of didn't get till like my 4th race was you get smarter every time. You figure things out every time. There's different things about the race that you learn. And first of all, just obviously your first is your first, but it does get incrementally. I don't know when it stops. I don't know if it's race 50, but at some point it might. But right now, like I learned a little bit, like it took me probably 4 times to get like, okay, I can do the second half of the race different because of the way it's set up and because of where my body feels. And it's like, how do I now improve on that based on that? When it was all just so overwhelming and this thing that took me forever. And now it's, okay. So when I get through those burpees, something shifts.
Yep. Yeah. I got wrecked in Boston. Like I was so disappointed after the Boston race, but after going back and look at it, I learned more in that hour and a half of hell than I learned in any of the previous races of what to do different. And then the very next race, Chicago, is where we podium, because I went in and I told Marty going in, here are the things we're not going to do, and here's what we are going to do.
All right, so let's talk about that. This is what the people come for.
Yeah, well, it's going to be the same thing you hear from everybody else, but I'll give you firsthand experience. Don't come out too hot. So Went into that race the fittest I've ever been, fitter than I was in Chicago, I might add, and was running great, felt great. And I set I always use my watch to monitor for heart rate. That's the main thing I use, even above speed. And the way the course was laid out, you had to do 2.5 laps the first run. So it wasn't 1,000 meters. It was like 1,300 meters, right? Give or take, something like that. And wait, is that, no, the other way around. It was shorter. It was
Usually that's the case. The first
yeah, it was shorter. It was shorter. It was like 1.5. And so I was using, instead of using how fast my watch was telling me I was running, I was visually monitoring it. And by the halfway mark, thinking, all right, if I'm here at this time, that's how fast I'm running. Well, because it was shorter, I was running faster than I thought I should be, that I was. And so when I went back and looked at it, instead of coming out at a pace of what I wanted to be, like 5:30 per kilometer for an opening run, I came out, it was essentially a 7-minute mile. Right now, the good news is at 55 years old, I can run a 7-minute mile, Matt. That's pretty impressive. The bad news is once you do it 2 times in a row on the first 2 laps, which I did, I was done. I literally got to the sled. I pushed it halfway and both quads cramped. And that's when I knew I was done. I had a friend there kind of coaching me, and I looked at him and I just put my hands up. I'm like, I'm done. Like, I considered walking off the course. I toughed it out for the remaining hour and whatever it was. And it was just the most miserable experience of my life. And so when I went to Chicago, obviously did it different. When I got to that sled, I was running the sled. And then when I got to the sled pull, which by the way, took me 8 minutes at Boston, I got to the sled pull in Boston. I'm not shitting, or the sled push in Boston, second in my heat. I left dead last. And I got to that sled pull. It took me like 8.5 minutes. I'm not shitting you, dude. Now, it was with a partner, so it should be faster. I think we did it in like just a couple of minutes. Like, I was ripping that thing across the carpet because I felt great, you know? And so that pacing piece for me was like, all right, I really have to figure out what's the edge. Like, you got to run as fast as you can, but there's a moment that you cannot cross, because when you cross it, you're done.
Right.
Just like in CrossFit, that would be handstand push-ups. Like, there's a number you have to stop at, or your body is going to stop you. And so I'm kind of figuring that out now. And it's a constant moving line. And that's what's hard about HYROX, is that now, like yesterday in training, I was running a 4:15,000, right? A year ago, I was running 5.5. So that's significant, but it's a constantly moving line. I can't run 4:15 in competition, but I can train at 4:15. So now I got to figure out, all right, well, where do I need to really be from that 4:15? It's probably 4:45, right? And you just constantly test it and find it and don't cross it. And when you cross it, you're done. And you got to be really careful, because to your point, when you get to the burpees, shit changes a lot, you know?
Well, for me, mentally, just getting through them, A, the race is half over, and B, I just look at them and I'm like, well, now lunges is the only one that I really, really hate. Right.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to do a farmer's carry. I'm going to row. Like, these are easier stations, right? Quote unquote.
Yeah.
So before I let you go, let's talk about when you and I first started talking, which is even before the episode, you was when the big name change happened, right? You went from, what were you before?
Oh, Make Quads Great Again.
Make Quads Great. How could I forget? What a great name. To Woolly Mammoth. And you said, you know, when I first started, I got massive following and memes are great and people love those, but I'm okay now with less followers and going deeper instead of wider, as some say. So how are you doing on that quest?
I'm doing a really good job of running my followers off right now, for whatever that's worth.
Well, if you attack the boy Hiller, that's a tough one. You know, he's beloved.
Well, I mean, look, I'd done memes forever, and it was probably, I don't know, a couple of months ago, I was on Instagram and just doom scrolling, just going through and flying past everything. And at some point I just stopped and I was like, holy shit, this is what people do to me. My content is so disposable. It literally means nothing. And when I first got into making memes, there was a lot of engagement around it. People would fight in the comments around whatever the meme was about. And I could do satire based on things happening and people would debate it. People aren't doing that anymore. And I mean, I don't have any desire to be the clown jester, you know, the court jester. It just doesn't mean anything to me. I want to have an impact on people and do something they enjoy. And people laugh at memes, and that is something. I'm not saying it isn't, because I'm going to continue to do some, but I just want to have a bigger presence, like making an impact and getting people to think about things. And so, you brought it up about, kind of this other side of CrossFit, whatever you want to call them. I want to be the opposite end of that. If you have a side that's negative, and I think you called it cunty, then I want to be the other side that's challenging you to think about it differently. You don't have to agree with me. You can hate me for it, but I want you to think differently about it and debate me. And so that's what I'm trying to do. So I'm just, I kind of have switched to, I call them mini pods. They're a minute and a half every single time, which by the way is really challenging to do. And I just put a topic in and talk about it for a minute and a half and let people discuss it. And sometimes those topics are really mild, like open workouts, or, hey, let me tell you something I found out about HYROX. Other times it's going to be, hey, you guys shouldn't be talking about women's bodies in the gym, and let people fight about it. And
90 seconds is a lifetime in IG attention. So congratulations if you keep people's, you know what I mean? If I make a video, even if it's just like I don't do a ton of simple talking head videos, but if I do it in a minute and a half, I'll probably go back and go, I think I'm going to make this 50 because I think I'll keep more people. Now, right or wrong, that's just kind of typically how I do it, just because I know how hard it is to keep people engaged. So good job if you're keeping people's attention.
Well, I found out very quickly you have to have some attention getters. So I'll drop a topic and go, all right, let me explain. And if you tell them you're going to get the answer at the end of this, they'll stick around for the answer.
Now, see, it's funny you say that, because like I'm the first one to say, because people ask me my opinion about content or podcasting or whatever. And I'm always like, I listen to none of the rules. They'll tell you always have a hook, do this, do that. And hooks can work, but I almost never do it. And probably mostly out of just spite. Like, I'm not going to do it. But I think that's pretty smart to say, I'm going to give you the answer, and then they stick around.
Well, it's usually not that direct. I'll say something like, hey, here are 3 things. Like I did one on alcohol. Here are 3 things I did to cut back on alcohol consumption. You're probably going to stick around till number 3 at least. You may not stick around for the full 90 seconds, but I'll get you to 80. That's the trick.
Right. But this isn't a money-making venture for you.
No, God, no. I have a really good job. Like I do all of this, I don't know, out of ego, pride, and and a sense of community. I mean, I've been part of the CrossFit community for 15 years, and I want to, talk to people, and I enjoy meeting people and talking to them about things. It's fun for me.
Well, I said I was going to let you go, but now I do want to, because I did mean to ask you about WFP.
Sure.
What are your thoughts on the current state? We don't have to go through the whole history, but just, okay, they finished their first season or first year. What are your current thoughts on World Fitness Project?
I thought the first season looked successful. They did some things really well. I'm not convinced they're going to survive, only because, the functional fitness as a sport to view is a really niche market, right? Like CrossFit can't sell out the CrossFit Games. What makes anybody think World Fitness Project can create their own functional fitness competition and get people to come to that event? However, the things that they've done really well that CrossFit has not done well is they leveraged really good partnerships. They have Adidas and Red Bull, which are both huge. And so that's a lot of money in their pocket that's, driving the business. They smartly put their championships in Europe, and the Europeans are crazy about functional fitness. So, I think those were 2 things they did really, really well to get people excited about it. And I think they've done a pretty good job of protecting their brand. Like instead of just going out to YouTube and, letting people just kind of willy-nilly go after it, you got to go to their site. Like they're driving people to the WFP. How that materializes long-term, I don't know.
So you don't think it was a bad idea to not post things where most people can see them on YouTube?
No, not an initial state. No, I think when you've got brands behind you, strong partnerships that are going to continue to fund your business, you don't have to worry about monetizing as much through YouTube or even kind of driving your business that way. I think they're viewing it as a different business model. And for the record, people thought CrossFit was crazy in years past the way they did business. So, I don't think I have all the answers here, but I think their first season was good. Whether they last or not, I couldn't tell you. My gut tells me they're not making money. So
I put them on our show. I put them in the same category as the track thing, which now I can't think of the name of it, Grand Slam. They both did similarly early on. Let's just get all the money and pay the big people. And a lot of leagues do that. A lot of different, in all sports, we've got some money, let's apply it. And those usually last a season or two. It's really hard. It's really hard to launch a league, a season, a thing, and have it go, because everyone says the same thing. Yes, we have the money, but if the money dries up, it doesn't matter because we care so much. Right. And the money dries up and the sponsorships don't come in and the television contracts that they were hoping or promised don't come in. So that's where I put them. The track went one way already. And I give WFP another season or two, I think, but mostly because they do so many things wrong, John. Yeah. Number one, the dumbest thing of all, we're not competing with CrossFit. It's like, well, now I don't trust anything you say. Just come out and say, we love CrossFit. We're all here because of it. We got a thing that we think might be better for these reasons, but we're certainly in the same lane. And here's what we're going to do different. Like, come on, man. Don't insult my intelligence.
I didn't have a problem with that. My problem is that they've let everybody else control the narrative. Meaning, so when all the talking heads on that other space started doing what you just said, they never pushed back on it. They just stuck to their little scripted story. Like they're too polished. Like, you're an upstart. Take advantage of that. You're smaller, more nimbler. You can do crazy shit because you're smaller. You can make mistakes. Like, to your point, they should have been like, yeah, fuck you guys, and given them the finger and said, yeah, we're going to take your business. Like, that would have been cooler.
Well, not even that. I mean, again, it's something that everyone does like all the time. Like, we're not competing with X, we're something else. But in this specific instance, it was just silly. And again, the things they do seem to focus on just seem to be misguided in so many ways. And again, like it would be cool if there was a nice competitor right. And ways for people to make money year round and all those things that people would want that I just think they've just have been a big whiff. And again, like, Will is just not doing himself any favors. He's walking right into a lot. It's what I call own goals. He's just he's walking into their landmines pretty easily. But John, I got to go back to the thing you said. If the name of the game, and let you correct me if I'm wrong, if the name of the game is eyeballs and attention and SEO, don't be in your own little channel over here. Like, you need to be found by YouTube and Google. No?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, again, that's not my area of expertise, so I can't say. I kind of like the fact that they're kind of, keeping their business insulated and trying to build a very specific brand, particularly in an inaugural season where you don't have any of the kinks worked out. Like, my fear, if I were running it, would be you do event 1 and you're on YouTube Live and the worst happens. And we've all seen what happens when the worst happens, right? Yes. You don't want that broadcast to the world. You want to control that. You don't want anyone else to have access to it. I mean, I'm just being as real as I can. To your point, where Will really screwed up, if we could call it that, is quite literally everyone they hired is famously mad at CrossFit. They are. So to your point, they're going, no, we're not competing with CrossFit, but everyone that we've hired thinks CrossFit can go suck it, So that makes it hard to believe when they say they're not competing, when everyone you've hired has kind of famously given them the finger to some degree. I don't know if that's the best way to put it.
Listen, but again, this is how a lot of things start, right? Like with a resentment and a passion, right? Yeah. So and that's okay. Like, some cool things come out of that. And here's how we can do it better should have been the battle cry, not we're not competing with you guys. Just again, because now it's hard for me to believe anything you say because you started with a premise that I know isn't true and that you don't even believe.
I just talked to one of their media guys a couple of days ago. He randomly called me at home and we were chatting. So I was asking him, when are the next events? What's tour 2 going to look like? And so I might actually pop over to Indianapolis and see at least one event next year. It'll be moderately cheap.
I thought about going to the first one just because it was the first one and it was like Indianapolis. It wasn't that far. I was like, maybe I'll go to this, but then I didn't.
Yeah, I think their first tour stop is going to be in Europe, and then Indianapolis will be like tour stop 2, 3, or 4. I forget which one. And so I'm going to try to pop over and look at it. Now that I'm doing these mini reels, I kind of feel obligated to cover the sport a little closer, and so I want to see what they're doing and just have an understanding of it. I like a lot of the people that are associated with them. There's a bunch of them I don't know. I ran into Will in Boston. He didn't know me he had no idea who I was, but he shook my hand and said hi. It was a nice.
He was at HYROX.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How does he not know who you are?
I don't know. I have no idea. No, I mean, I think a lot of people don't know who I am because I wasn't, I'm not always, up until this year, I haven't been that, kind of facing on my channel. I've been doing a lot of memes, and dude's busy, so I'm not saying that like he should have known who I was. I thought it was funny when the guy I was with was like, oh, this is John Woolley. And my friend just assumed he would know me. And Will's like, okay, dude, nice to meet you, random stranger. It was just really funny to me.
I would have said, this is John Woolley, make WODs great again. That's how I would have done it.
Well, it was funny to me because when I went to Tour Stop 1 at Indianapolis, I assumed no one would know me. And the guy that owns it, Ryan, like walked right up to me and he's like, John, thank you for coming. I'm like, how do you know? Like, I don't know him at all. I've never met him, never talked to him online, nothing. And he talked to me like he knew everything about me. And they didn't even know I was coming. Like, I just popped in.
Yeah. So these athletes that signed an agreement and then sort of as the year went on kind of showed up less and less, are they going to try to, do we know if they're going to try to fix that? Have they signed just as many athletes? Do we know anything about that?
I'm sure they've announced. Well, I shouldn't say I'm sure. I would imagine they've announced it, but I haven't followed it close enough to know. I don't even care about that sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like for me, it's always about
who's there.
No, I don't care about the money side. I care about what's the fan experience. Do people like it? Is it engaging? Is it fun? I do care about who's there, but for me, it's more about like, how's the entire thing look? That's where I get content anyway. I don't care about what they're paying these guys. That's for them to worry about. They all have agents. Let them worry about the money, But to your point, they do need to sign some good people. It sounds like the athletes loved it though. Best I can tell. I mean, the ones I've talked to have had a really good experience. I mean, come on, they're putting them up in hotels. They're flying them to the events. They're giving them mad swag, all things CrossFit does not do for them.
Okay. So, but this, to me, this is part of it, right? That's where you've put all your focus. Here's a cool jacket. Here's a bunch of cool media. It's like, I think like a percentage, maybe do that for event 1 or maybe do that for the championship, but that's kind of your overall thing. And then it's like, all right, how about you put on a great product and you give people reasons to watch it. And yes, they did find some good sponsors, but again, to me, that's a miss. That's too much money in the wrong place. Well,
the tour stop was great. The one I went to, it was fun to be at. I know people picked on the lighting and shit, but live it looked great. The crowd was exciting. The athletes loved it. I don't know how many games athletes you've talked to in your life, but I've talked to a bunch, and all of those guys are like anybody else on the planet. They love having their ego stroked and getting free shit because they're pseudo famous. So every time they show up and they get put in a hotel and get all this swag, and then they go to a CrossFit event that literally does nothing for them, but charge them to enter the event. I mean, I would argue it's money well spent because they're building goodwill amongst these athletes and reinforcing the fact that CrossFit isn't doing anything for them.
Yeah. That one's a fine line. Let's call them CrossFit famous, right? I don't think there's something.
Yeah, no, it is CrossFit famous. That's not even a fine line. It's a real line. They're just CrossFit famous.
I mean, maybe at the airport, people might know Danny Spiegel, right? But most of them wouldn't know Tia even, right? But again, the problem is when you start giving people stuff, if you take it away, right?
Yeah. Well, I think that's their point though, is they're going to continue to, they think they can continue to do that. And I'm with you. I'm not bought in that they're going to last 3 years, but I'm willing to watch and see. I mean, it's kind of like watching a train wreck. You kind of want to see what's going to happen. Is it going to hit or not? I hope they're successful. They seem like nice people. I got friends there. The athletes like it. I hope they make it. I'm certainly not wishing them ill will, but who knows?
All right. Listen, I'm sure we'll talk some more, especially if CrossFit gets sold here anytime soon. But
for real.
Thanks for coming on, dude.
Anytime.
All right, I'm going to take you off record.